Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Celine, and over here we talk everything about ascension and our expansion of consciousness. If you haven't watched my previous video yet, I highly recommend because this will give you an overview of what you will be expecting from me. In today's episode, I want to discuss about our beliefs and how this shapes our reality. Let's get started. I'm a big fan of exploring ideas of subjective reality and epistemological uncertainty. And one of the things that I've been critiquing lately is our beliefs. And the term beliefs originated from the late 12th century as believe, which meant belief or to have faith. One time, I ate mushrooms and the sky made me cry, and I swore that I could hear and smell it too. I know, it was weird, but here's a question. If you look at the sky and I ask you, what color is it? You'll probably say it's blue. What you observe and what you think is real are based on your observations. Hence, this becomes your belief. If you ask somebody else, what color is the sky? They'll probably also say it's blue. But the reality is, the sky doesn't really exist like that. The sunlight or white light consists of various colors, each with different wavelengths, and the visible spectrum ranges from red, which are the longer wavelengths, or violet, which are the shorter wavelengths. When sunlight enters the Earth's atmosphere, it interacts with air molecules, primarily nitrogen and oxygen. So the shorter wavelengths of light, such as the blue and violet, are scattered in all directions more effectively than the longer wavelengths of red and orange, due to their size relative to the molecules they encounter. This scattering is described mathematically by Rayleigh's law, which states that the amount of scattering is inversely proportional to the fourth power of wavelength. So essentially, the sky is just an atmospheric mirage. In fact, it's just an idea because we can't really see these atoms. It's just a refraction for which accumulates due to the pressure. However, if you ask everyone else, if you ask your neighbors, they'll also say, yeah, of course, the sky is blue today because it's what our eyes are seeing. Yet the illusion becomes more of a collective belief. So this really raises a profound question. What else do we see, feel, or experience that is just a shared projection? And so, going back to my mushroom session, this altered states can break the filters of ordinary perception. Psychedelics help us remember that reality as we know it is really malleable, and it's simply a canvas that our mind projects meaning. Another example, when I was a kid, I would go on joyrides with my dad to the beach at night, and I would look at the moon and think that the moon is following me. My perception and observation made me believe that it was following me, but in reality, it wasn't. It felt real because my perception told me so, and no matter where we went, the moon seemed to follow the sky, or it was following right alongside me. The moon wasn't moving with me. It was so far away that its positions appears constant relative to what I was perceiving here on Earth. This is an example of how our mind interprets what we see to make sense of reality, even if our interpretation isn't really accurate. It's a beautiful way to highlight how our beliefs are shaped. And so perception is what we see or feel, then interpretation, how we make sense of it, and then our beliefs are the stories we tell ourselves based on that meaning. In human evolution, we use beliefs as the survival tool. And just like the ancient humans, they needed beliefs to guide their actions. For in Mesopotamia, they had all kinds of myths and religious practices closely tied to their agricultural cycles, ensuring that their beliefs about gods and seasons would help them have better crops. Here's the catch: beliefs can produce positive results, but once they stop serving us, it becomes necessary to release them and create new ones. Religion before told people that only God can provide shelter, and they adopted this belief that He alone is capable of saving them. This is just a projection outwards, a way of looking for solutions externally. To be conscious and aware is knowing that if you have these negative beliefs that is no longer serving you, you have the power to change it. And beliefs are simply lenses through which we observe and navigate the world. But when we operate unconsciously, they can trap us in prejudice, worry, and preconceptions. The key to existence is constant transformation. Physics has proven this, as Einstein's equation E equals mc squared says energy is in perpetual motion. Energy is eternal, and eternity itself can be understood as unconditional love. Love is a neutral energy that can either be positive or negative. A belief that refuses to evolve becomes this dense and stagnant, calcifying into resentment, hatred, and separation. When we can honor and embrace diverse perspectives, we allow this belief to transform and update. This openness is an act of respect that is rooted in unconditional love. The beliefs we have are invisible threads that can weave our perception of reality. They shape how we interpret the world, how we can relate to others, and understand ourselves. While beliefs are tools for survival, growth, and connection, they can also limit us when we don't take inventory. Transformation really begins when we dive deeper into developing our awareness to question our perception, our beliefs, recognizing which ones are still serving us and which ones are no longer aligning in our highest truth. This is where we struggle a lot in today's age because everybody is trying to argue who is right. But at some level, we are operating from fear that we hold so strongly with our beliefs without even understanding others. We fear of losing our sense of identity, which often clings to our beliefs because it's who we think we are, it's our identity. When we hold too tightly of our perspectives without listening to others, we create this resistance. It's like this constant game of tug of war where nobody wins and everybody ends up feeling drained. Ego death, in its truest form, it's not about losing ourselves, but transcending the rigid structures of beliefs and the identity that has kept us trapped. It is to see things from a higher vantage point. It's about dissolving the illusion of separation and finally stepping into a state of openness where we can see beyond right and wrong. That's what 5D is all about. All perspectives carry a piece of truth, and only through deep listening, compassion, and love can we integrate those pieces into something greater, which is harmony. Cells are always wanting to find balance, otherwise, it becomes malignant and cancerous. An ego death invites us to surrender the me versus you dynamic and to start remembering that we are all interconnected. When we let go of fear and defensiveness, we free ourselves to grow, to expand, and to love unconditionally, because love is a space where all perspectives can coexist. It is in this unity that we can move beyond friction and into creation, where new beliefs are formed, not just from fear, but from a place of shared understanding and evolution. You know what Einstein said right before he died? He was a big skeptic for a while. He said, "For love we live and die. Love is God, and God is love. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. This force explains everything and gives meaning to life. Love transcends all energies and is essential to humanity's survival. If we want our species to survive, if we are here to find meaning in life, if we want to save the world and every sentient being that inhabits it, love is the one and only answer. E equals mc squared energy is eternal. It is constant motion, equating to unconditional love. Energy, when it flows freely, creates harmony. and beliefs that align with growth, love, this allows the energy to transform. In quantum physics, energy behaves as both a particle, which is the dense and fixed, and also the antiparticle, which is a wave, fluid, and expansive. When we can evolve constructively, not violently, through unconditional love and openness, we honor their role while leaving room for growth. Belief becomes this bridge rather than prison. We cannot evolve through conflict or violence. Instead, we must accept, honor, and consciously reshape them by analyzing our beliefs and identifying which ones are serving us and which ones are hindering us. We create this space of transformation. The duality of beliefs is that it can either be constructive or destructive depending on how they serve us. Buddhism is really big on this, where they teach about the letting go philosophy. Having attachment to outdated beliefs causes suffering. In cognitive behavioral therapy, we identify the limiting beliefs and we start to challenge them and replace them with empowering ones. A belief that I'm not good enough creates a lot of this emotional stagnation and limits your energy flow. We recognize this pattern and challenge this belief with conscious awareness. It transforms into growth. I'm growing and learning every day. Everything is about loving kindness. Beliefs cannot evolve through conflict. In history, many beliefs caused a lot of violence, such as wars, colonizations, which led to cycles of suffering and not evolution. Transformation requires a dialogue, introspection, and acceptance. Our beliefs can grow strongest when they are questioned with love and curiosity, not with defensiveness. Consciousness collapses reality when we put our awareness onto something, so that event changes. Belief is really the blueprint of creation because everything is the mind, and the mind of God experiencing itself from different perspectives. Our beliefs, whether conscious or unconscious, sets the stage for what we attract and create. If somebody believes that they are deserving of abundance, their thoughts, emotions, action align to that reality, then that will come true. If you believe in scarcity, where you don't feel like you're worthy or you're not good enough, then you are unconsciously perpetuating it. The mind is not a passive receiver, but an active generator of your experience. What you believe to be true resonates at a fundamental level. This shapes our individual and collective reality. Existence itself might be more fluid, more dependent on consciousness than we can typically acknowledge. And so when you keep people in fear in their lower bodies, then you can never truly change your reality because your thoughts, you're constantly getting fed that you're not good enough, that you're not pretty enough. And only when you become conscious of these things and you start to love yourself, that's when you can really change your beliefs. Most people experience time as a straight line moving from past to present to future. We believe that we are bound by its flow because our perception tells us so. We have our clocks, the days pass, and our bodies age. However, the underlying truth is that time, as modern physics and metaphysics reveal, this isn't really linear. And Einstein's theory of relativity shows that time is relative and it can stretch or compress depending on speed and gravity. In quantum mechanics, all moments, such as in past, present, and future, can exist simultaneously. Linear time is simply a construct, a tool that our minds uses to make sense of reality. Saying that time is linear is like reading a book page by page and assuming that the story only exists on the page that you're on. In reality, the entire book exists at once, all pages and all moments. Having set rules in society is what keeps things in order. However, this belief helps us navigate our lives through our deadlines, routines, and goals that we rely on. But when we challenge the construct of linear time, we open ourselves to experiences of the timeless, such as, for example, when you get in flow states where It's like you forget what time it is now because you're so focused on the thing that you're doing when you get into meditation, when you're dreaming. So, all the possibility from the past, present, and future are all interconnected. To create change, we have to be really open minded to hear all perspectives and find a common ground. It's to have unconditional love for others, to put yourself in their shoes, and to really listen and look deeper. But what if the other person is very egoic or have a very shallow perception? When someone operates from ego, they are protecting something, whether it's fear, insecurity, or the need for control. Recognizing that egoic behavior is usually a defense mechanism, this allows you to respond with compassion rather than judgment. Instead of seeing their ego as an obstacle, see it as an invitation to understand the deeper wound or belief they are holding onto. Lead by example, not by force. Change cannot be forced onto others, especially when they are closed off. Instead, show them patience, kindness, and depth in your own words and actions. Share your perspectives gently without trying to convince or prove them wrong. Otherwise, over time, those seeds that you have planted may take root when they're ready. There's a difference between unconditional love and self sacrifice. Unconditional love means that you're honoring somebody's journey, no matter where they are at. It doesn't mean that you have to agree with them or tolerate harmful behavior. Sometimes the most loving thing that you can do is to step back and give them space to evolve at their own pace. You don't have to lower yourself to meet somebody else's shallow perception. And I've been guilty of this too, because I often judge NPCs or people that are still asleep. But I have to remember that I was once like them. So we have to hold our awareness steady, remember that their perception is theirs, shaped by their experiences and their beliefs. You can offer new lens and once they choose to look through it, then that's when they can start to soften. But true listening doesn't mean that you have to agree or take on their beliefs. It simply means that you are holding space for them to express themselves by really listening and asking thoughtful questions. You may inspire them later on once they look deeper without resistance. Instead of arguing with someone's shallow point of view, you can ask, "Oh, that's interesting. What made you see it that way? Have you ever considered this?" And then you start to give your new perspective. By approaching this with curiosity instead of confrontation, you help their ego feel safe enough to soften. Some people are not ready to explore beyond their shallow perceptions, and that's okay. Remember that transformation and awakening happens in stages. You might be planting a seed, then they can nurture it later on. Just like with my family, I was the first one that awakened, but now they're asking me all about the ascension process, about healing, and all of these things because you're just planting these seeds in their brain. And when it's time for them to wake up, they'll know that they can talk to you about it. Every soul is on their own timeline of awakening, and unconditional love is the ability to respect that process without judgment. And so, my highest self, she would often tell me that as awakened ones, it is our duty to serve a loving, warm breakfast to those that are just awakening. That is it for today. Like and subscribe, comment if this resonated with you. I have frequency packed meditations on my shop, links down below. I made them specifically for this ascension. Spread love. Until next time, peace.